Hello there, and welcome to this top 10 tips for new players of Satisfactory. Stay tuned.
Number 1.
Alright then, tip number 1. The belts. So the belts can be different heights, they can be different shapes, forms, varieties, and whatnot. And what I've done here is I've raised up the pylons in order to create a higher belt, which will allow for belts to go, for example, underneath here would be ample space for a belt. The way you do this is you select your pylon, they're number 4 down there on the hotbar. Then you just click once, and then you just look up or down in order to raise and lower it. Awesome. So we could have a pretty high up thing like so, if we were so inclined. Let's just gonna prove a point here real quick. Ba-boom! And there's a belt. Awesome. And you can also, of course, just do that in order to get it down to the ground again. Awesome.
Number 2.
Okay, so tip number 2 is the chainsaw. When for that, you'll first need the biofuel, which is the fuel source that the chainsaw runs off, which you can find on tier 1 utility. There you go, biofuel. It's also more potent for your biomass burners, so use that for that as well. And then you go into tier 2 here, and you have something called obstacle clearing. And there you have the chainsaw. The obstacle clearing itself isn't that expensive, and the utilities are not that expensive either. So it should be a fairly easy one to get to, and once you get to it, you'll make your life a heck of a lot easier. Now, where you craft it in this thing, which is the equipment workshop. You have it right here, the chainsaw, and this is what it requires of materials. And how you use it is as follows. Now first you have to equip it, hit tab, and drag your chainsaw into your hand. Awesome. You need to have the biofuel in your inventory in order to use it. Then you just hold and boom. That's the primary mouse button that is. Okay, next up, you can also, that was a big tree, you can also do the smaller trees. You can see I get, for that, I got plus 52 wood, which is ridiculously much, and 53 leaves. Now, 52 wood is equivalent to about, what's the ratio again? It's okay, so the ratios are for 5 wood you get 25 biomass, and for 50 wood, which the example was, you would get 124 biofuel, which is awesome. But you also get some leaves from chainsawing some trees, so you can also use that, of course, to make biomass and then even more biofuel, which is awesome.
Number 3.
Next one up is in regards to power. So every power pole has the possibility of 4 connections to it. Like this one has 3 out of 4 connected already. So in order to connect up something new to that, what I do instead of connecting it straight to a building is I would click it down like so in order to make another power pole, and that gives me 3 more connections. One of them will be onwards to another power pole, and then from there on I'd connect it to a constructor for the next step.
Number 4.
Alright, so the next step is about biomass production. Now, you could of course craft it in the craft bench over there, which would suck because it takes forever. So what I like to do is I just, for example, biomass wood, and then I fling my wood in there, and then I connect it up to power, and we're in business. And then I'll just collect that from there, and then further on, you could have connected it with a belt, for example, to a, like so. And then we can connect it like so. We can wang that in like that, and then set this to make biofuel like so. And you can even combine that with a machine that makes biomass out of leaves as well. Awesome.
Number 5.
Next one up is a more general tip. It's all about storage, and I at least come from Factorio. I've played a ton of Factorio, and that's, I think, why I got so interested in this game as well. And in Factorio, you store stuff like miners and assembly machines and inserters and whatnot. All the finished products, the things you put down, you store that in Factorio. However, in Satisfactory, you cannot do that. You have to store the intermediary products, which in Factorio terms would be the green chips, the gear wheels, the copper wire, and so on and so forth. Which is what I'm doing here. Right here, we have iron rods. And we have iron plates, and then we have screws at top. You can stack these on top of each other, and then they output as well. You can also combine the belts. These storage chests are single item. So the top one is only screws, the middle one is only plates, and the bottom one is only iron rods. But for this one, I've combined it with copper wire, or just wire. It's made from copper and concrete, which means that if I output it from here, I'd need to sort it because it would be every other item on the belt. But for now, I'm fine with this. Now, a quick little bonus tip in regards to the containers. You can actually also use them for personal storage, which is its own research. And if you don't want to waste the resources on researching that early on, you can just use the containers for personal storage. These work just as well as anything else in order to store your resources, whatever they might be. Awesome.
Number 6.
Now, you can also hotbar things in the builder menu. You cannot hotbar, as far as I know, you can't hotbar things from here. I would have loved to hotbar, for example, a chainsaw, but I can't do that. But what I can do is I can hotbar, say, a miner. So let's set that to 5. Now, every time I hit 5, I'll get a miner. The way you do that is you hit Q for the build menu, then you hover over a building of any sort and variety, then you hit the number you want it bind to. So, for example, I want the equipment shop combined to 6, and there we go. It's hotbarred to 6 now. Awesome.
Number 7.
Keep it organized. All I'm saying. If you keep it organized, it will be a lot easier for you to take the resource you need into the next building and next machine, next facility, onwards and onwards and onwards, instead of having to, wiggle it around every sort of building and obstacle before you get to where you want the items to get. So keep it organized, keep it simple, and give yourself a ton and a half of space.
Number 8.
Alright, so next up is build in huge open spaces like this one. Here you have tons and tons of possibilities for automation, for getting your stuff to where you want them to go. It doesn't matter if your belts look like this. That's fine every now and again, because you want something to get from one place to another. It's okay, but make sure you have enough space for stuff like that to happen, if it needs to happen. Of course, it looks a lot better if you have it, neat and organized like I do on the other side here. 3 belts going in, 3 belts coming out, which would be the ideal thing, but you can't always do that. So keep it open, keep it as flat as possible. A little curvature doesn't matter, but if you have too many rocks like those, for example, you'll have a problem.
Number 9.
Alright, so in Satisfactory you have different resources, and the resources have nodes on them. Like here, for example, we have a miner on a resource node, which is the only place you can place the miners. That's a whole different story. Now, each resource node has a purity. This one right here is impure, which means it has 30 items per minute as an output, which is fine. But if you compare it to a normal or pure resource node, you'll see something quite spectacular. And this spectacularity is, if you look here, this is normal and it's iron. Although that is limestone, it still works the same principle. I luckily hotbarred the miner on 5 there earlier on. If I click here, you now see I have an output of 60 per minute from this one. That's a normal node right there. And that is double the output of the impure node. Which means that this is twice as efficient for the investment I made in order to make it. Awesome.
Number 10.
Alright, last but not least, for the top 10 tips for new players is remember to research stuff. Okay, so if you're probably familiar with this area. If you're running here and you research stuff, some of the things will give you some benefits later on. I'm not going to tell you what does what, but it will also unlock some new tiers here that you can upgrade your hub with, which will give you more access to more fun stuff to play with, which is awesome. So keep that in mind. Do your research. Just put some stuff in there. Leave it be for a little, because it takes everything from, I think I've seen one is 12 minutes, and most of them are 5, and some are 7. So it's a little varying in time. Just put it in, hit the research, and go do your business outside in the factory. Awesome. All right, so quick little bonus tip on the end of the thing here, and this is more of a preference than a tip, I suppose. I would advise you to go crazy and get that space elevator building quite soon. It's huge in size. As you can see here, it is absolutely humongous. Container for scale over there. But once you get it, you can fill in with 75 reinforced plates and 50 rotors, I think it was. And then you can go into tier 3. Once it's out of alpha, you'll also get tier 4 for that. And what that gives you is coal power, which is still available. That gives you the tractor, which is a vehicle, which can be automated, and a truck stop, and a coal generator, which can be automated for power production rather than the biomass generator. So you won't have to input anything into it other than the first time or when you set up your truck route or your belts if you want to do that. And you'll also be able to scan for coal, which is a fuel source, which is awesome. Brilliant. Okay, one final piece of advice. I promise I'm done after this one. Okay, so up here where I started my base, you have 2 iron nodes, which is fine, but both of them are impure resource nodes, which is fine. You know, you can still work on it and it will still do your charm and all the good stuff. But if I were to have started down there, I would have had 3 resource nodes of iron, and all 3 of them are normal, meaning double the input of the 2 I have now, plus an extra one. So that's basically 3 times the output of iron ore that I got right now. So keep that in mind. If you spawn in this area, I would suggest this area down there, but it's ultimately up to you. I hope you found some of those tips useful for your creations and your imagination in Satisfactory. I've had a blast so far, and I hope you will as well. I have already started 2 series on the game, one with Nexxus Gaming, which is collaboration, and one alone, which I'm having great fun with. I'm learning. The thing is, I'm recording one, and then I jump over to record the other. Now I go back to the first one, and then I sort of like rinse and repeat the same thing in both of them at the same time when I'm recording. But it's a little bit more divided up in reality. So, you know, be sure to check them out, see what you dig, see if you find any of that enjoyable. And if you do, you know, why not hit that subscribe button and stay up to date with all things average. I do more than just Satisfactory, but I can imagine Satisfactory being a huge part of my channel for a while forward. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you've had an awesome time. I'd love to see you in the future. For now, though, I've been average, you've been awesome, and I'll see you all in the next one. Till then, cheerio.